In this video, we will be talking about and discussing on the SA1 paper, paper 1 that you have completed in class. So let's move on. Question 1. Question 1, they will like you to round it off to the nearest tenth. So as a revision, let's just revise on our place value. You start off with the place value of tenth after the decimal point, and then you have your hundredths, followed by the thousandth. Okay, so if I plunge in the value, I have 92.185, and I would like to round it to the nearest tenth. So for looking at the tenth position, I will need to round up or round down depending on the digit behind it. So I may round to 2/10, I may stay in 1/10, but in this case, I would like to round up because of the digit 8. It tells me that it is closer to 2/10 rather than 1/10. So the answer will be 3. Question number 2. Which of the following is nearest to 1 whole? Now let's take a look over at this first fraction. This fraction has already exceeded 1 whole, right? Because it has exceeded 1 whole by a 8. Now over here, it is actually 4/5, but it requires a 1/5 to make a whole. Over here, 3/4, you require a 1/4 in order to make a whole. And over here is 1 whole, and it exceeded 1 whole by 1/7. Now take a look at these 4 fractions here. If you can remember some rules that we learned in the past, the one that will be nearest to 1 whole will be the fraction that has the smallest fractional parts. And in this case, the 1/8 will give you the smallest fractional part because the denominator is the greatest. So if you can remember, in primary 4, your teacher could have said that, okay, if you cut the pizza into even smaller pieces by 8, 1/8 will be very small. So because of this 1/8, it should make this fraction closest to 1 whole. So answer 1, because 1/8 is the smallest. The difference from 1 whole and 1/8. Question number 3. Okay, now you have 10 divided by 5,000. If you can remember what we learned in primary 5, you split the divisor into 5 and 1,000. So we have this equation, 10 divided by 5 divided by 1,000. Okay, let's do 10 divided by 5 first. 10 divided by 5 gives you a 2. 2 divided by 1,000. Now the decimal point is here. So to move back 3 decimal places, it will be 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so the new decimal point with the 0 placeholder, 0, 0, and 0. So this is 0.002. Answer would be 1. Number 4. Now question number 4, I would like you to be very careful. Now the reason why I need you to be very careful is that if you are going to do all the calculations separately, you might have a chance of missing out the back and not calculate the back, which is the case of one of your friends in a class. They have calculated 5y minus 2 over 2, but they forgot about the back part when you do your calculation separately. So how can you prevent this from happening? Write out the whole equation. 5y is the same as 5 times 6 minus 2 over 2 minus y means minus 6 plus 3. Now when you write out the entire equations, there's no way you will miss any part of it. 5 times 6 is 30. 30 minus 2 over 2 minus 6 plus 3. So we're going to work out the division part first because orders of operation says we need to do the division first. 30 minus 2 is 28, and 28 divided by 2 gives you a 14. 14 minus 6 plus 3. Now going by order of operations from left to right, I'm going to do 14 minus 6 first. 14 minus 6 will give you 8, and 8 plus 3 gives you 11. Now when you write your equations entirely out, there's no way you're going to miss out on miscalculation or missing one of the variables. Okay, now question number 5, you have got a trapezium, and somehow they told you in the story without telling you from the picture, BCD is an isosceles triangle. So I have BCD here, and I'm going to mark out the point that says it's an isosceles triangle. Now if this is 74, it also tells you this is 74. Alright, now given that it's a trapezium, so let's find out where the trapezium is. If I have a trapezium, I'm going to use a color to denote where the trapezium is. This ABCD is a trapezium. Now trapezium, one property is you have a small angle here, and together with the big angle, it should add up to 180. So if you have already got a 74 and a 74 here, okay, the question requires you to find what is this unknown. All you need to do, 180 minus 74 minus 74 is going to get you 32 as your answer, number 1. Okay, now question number 6. Mrs. Raju bought 3/4 kg of peanuts and repacked them into bags. Each bag contains 320 of peanuts. Now in the event in exams you are unsure which number divide by which number, my suggestion is, why not? Let's do it like how we did it in primary 1, primary 2. Mrs. Raju bought 10 kg and each bag contains 2 kg. So how many bags are there? In primary 1, what would you do? You will do 10, you will divide by 2 to get 5 bags, right? Now this is primary 1. Now the reason why primary 5, primary 6 it looks confusing is because the numbers are replaced with fractions. But the idea is the same. You take your 3/4 and you're going to divide it by 320. Okay? And when you do your division, there's one way you can do by your normal flipping. Okay, now what I would prefer to do over here is, I might want to just, for the purpose of being lazy, yeah, I can even change it to common denominator, and 15 divided by 3 is just 5. Okay, because altogether there are 5 bags, and this has to be got the answer. At question 7 now, and you have got a cube. Now if you can recall, a cube means that all sides are equal. So whether the length, the breadth and the height, they are all equal. So what is the volume? Length times breadth times height. It will be 4 times 4 times 4. So 4 times 4 will give you 16. 16 times by a 4. And if you do your workings out, okay, you get 64 as the answer. So question 7 answer is 4. Alright, now Nicholas has 4/7 as many cards as Haziq. So again, the 4 refers to Nicholas and the 7 refers to Haziq. So in a ratio form, Nicholas and Haziq will be 4:7. Haziq has twice as many cards as Lin. Okay, now it seems that there's a third person, and this Haziq has double of what Lin has. Okay, now if Haziq has double, that means Lin will be half. Alright, but it's very hard for me to halve a 7 because it's an odd number. So what I could do is I could expand this ratio out to become 8/14. After all, they are the same, they are equivalent ratio. Now will be easier because all I need to do is find out how much Lin has. Lin is actually half, right? Haziq is double. So Lin must be 7. So what is the ratio of Nick to H to Lin? So I have in the correct order 8, 14, 7. Answer will be number 3. So, learning point, if it is an odd number and you need to halve it, why not just expand the ratio as big as you can so that you can halve it easily. Okay. Alright, now question 9. And this is about a wire that's being used to form this parameter here. So if you look at the red color coloring, this is the entire wire that's being used to make the circle. So the entire circle, the entire figure is actually made up of 1, 2, and 3. A 3/4 circle, right? So 3/4 pi d, because you want to find a circumference, will be 3/4 pi times, now what is the diameter? 7 is the radius, 7 is the radius, then that makes 14 the diameter. Okay, now I cancel, 7 and 14 becomes 2. I don't think I can cancel anymore. So 3 times 22 is 66. 66 times 2 will be 132. 132 over 4 times 1 is 4. Alright, do a little bit of division, you get 33. Now 33 is only for the green one, right? Now to find the entire figure, which is in red, I will need to add 33 with the 7 here and another 7 here to give me the full parameter. And so the answer would give me 47. 10, Gopal parked his car in the car park from 8 to 5. So how many hours is that? Now this is almost like a giveaway question. Very easy question. You start off with 8 a.m. and you're going to end off with 5 p.m. You need to find the duration. How many hours is that? So we can jump, and I think we can jump to a very nice number, probably 12 in the noon. And this jump will actually means 4 hours. Now from 12 all the way to 5, that makes another 5 hours. So 4 hours plus the 5 hours will give you a total of 9 hours as the answer. Okay. Now question 11. Now question 11 is interesting because you have a fraction, you have the whole number, and you have a decimal. So I think the goal over here is to really change them to the same type of whole number. Same type of number. So fraction and decimals can be very confusing. So I think it will be good if we can change these two into whole numbers. Now 4.5 kg is nothing but 4 kg. Half a kg would be about 500, right? Because 1 kg is 1000. Half of it will be 500. Okay, now what about 4.12? Now 4.12 is made up of 4, and it is also made up of 0.12. Now 0.12 kg, if I would like to change it to gram. If you can recall in primary 5, we learned from small to big, we will want to divide. And how much do we divide? We divide it by, small to, this is actually big to small, my mistake, I'm sorry. This is actually a big unit to a small unit. So a big unit to a small unit, I divide by I multiply by 1000. Okay, and to do that, I will shift the decimal point 1, 2, 3. This gives me 120 grams. So this is nothing, but if I erase off all the mess, this is nothing but just 4 kg, 120 grams. Okay, now you have 500 grams, you have 102 grams, you have 120 grams. You will like to arrange lightest to heaviest. So the lightest one must be this. Followed by, this one is the next lightest one, and this is the heaviest one. So looking at the answers, it seems that number 4 is the correct answer. Okay, question 12 has got to do with P6 percentage. Okay, you got a discount, and after this discount of 20%, you notice that the book only costs $40. Meaning to say that this $40 is an amount that is after the discount. Okay, so how many percent is that? In fact, it's just 80%. This 80% is the $40. Now let's find back the original price of the book. For us to do that, let's find out 1% first. 40 over 80 is 1%. Now the original price of the book is 100%, right? Original is always 100. 40 over 80, cancel the 0, multiply by 100. And if I were to simplify 4 times 100, 400 divided by 8 actually gives me 50. Okay, now $50 is the original price. Okay, now you are given a discount and you only need to pay $40. Meaning to say, how much is the discount? You have actually gotten a discount of $10. Alright, but that's not all. You have this Mrs. Tan, who is a member, was given a further $3 discount. So the discount is not just $10, she is given an additional $3, which makes $13. Alright, then you might be asking what's next, because you need to find the percentage changed. If you can remember the formula goes like this. You have got the top number changed over the original amount times by 100. So the change is actually the $13. Alright, $13 is the amount that has changed over the original price, which is 50, multiplied by 100. Okay, now if you work your way and you cancel your zeros and so on, you will be able, 5 and 10 makes 1 and 2, gives you a total of 13 times 2, 26% as your answer. 13, you have two different light bulbs, and the red light bulbs will light up every 3 seconds, the blue bulbs will light up every 5 seconds. And how many times did they light up at the same time? Okay, now if you actually understood the story, it just means this. We talk about the red light bulbs first. They will light up at the 3rd second, they will light up at the 6th second, they will light up at the 9th second, and so on. Okay, and you want to talk about in a minute how many times they both lighted up at the same time. Does it ring a bell to you? This seems to be something that we have been doing all the time. So I'm merely listing out all the multiples of 3 seconds, and I'm also going to do the same for 5 seconds. What do you think I'm going to do next once I've listed out? 60 seconds, because 1 minute has 60 seconds. Okay, I will list quickly for the 5 also. Alright, now those who already understood the question, you would know that I was trying to find out the common multiple. Okay, because the common multiples are at the time where both lighted up at the same time. So going by the numbers, it seems that 15, at the 15 seconds, they will both light up. And at the 30th seconds, they will also light up. At the 45 seconds, they will also light up. And at the 60 second, they will also light up together. So altogether, 4 times they light up together at the same time. Common multiple. Alright. Okay, now, this question, interesting. You have 2 people taking part in a quiz. Now, I believe the quiz refers to the same quiz. Now, why do I need to know whether they are the same quiz or not? Because if we are talking about the same quiz, they will have the same maximum mark. Alright, now with the same maximum marks, it means that they belong to the same whole. Because of that, I can actually do this thing called common multiple. Vicky, 2/4. Santi is 3/4. So altogether, they scored a total of 5/4, which is 50 marks. But of course, in the paper, you cannot be doing 5/4 of the paper, right? How can you be doing more than one paper? You can only be doing a full paper, which is one whole, a maximum mark. So let's find out how much is 1/4 first. 1 unit will be 50 divided by 5, which gives you 10. Now, in order to calculate the full paper, which is one full whole, you will have 10 times 4, which gives you 40 as the answer. Alright, question 14. Now, question 15. Question 15 will be something that I would like you to take note of. Now, partly because for question 15, students who are in classes where they do 60 experience word problems, this would be a word problems that they are very expert in because they have been practicing this in their 60 experience workbook. So unfortunately, we don't have this book to practice with us, so we will just learn based on this question, but we try. okay? So that we can also try to be as well as other classes. You have got Jen who needed to pack up a number of gift bags. Now you're going to pack 24 in the morning. Now this 24, I'm not too sure how big the unit is. I'm just going to draw a size, 24. And then you have a remainder, 2/5 of the remainder. Now when you pack 24, you are definitely going to be left with some remainders. So I'm going to denote this with a different color. And the remainder is altogether 5 units. These are all the remainder. You pack 24, and that leaves you with some remainder, which is a total of 5 units. Now, out of these 5 units, they said that 2 units are being packed in the afternoon. These 2/5 are being packed in the afternoon. And you have 1/3 of the bag left, meaning to say, let's change the color again, this would mean what is left. Okay, 3 units are left. But they said that these 3 units represent 1/3. Okay, I'm going to put the fractions here 1/3. Now, it seems very strange. You say you have 3 remaining units, am I right? But how can a fraction be 1/3? Alright, now what we can do is to simply change this 1/3 to suit the number of units. Okay, there are altogether 3 units, so I'm going to expand these fractions to become 3/9. Now the reason I do that is because the numerator now matches the number of units here. 1/3 becomes a 3/9. So in fact, what is left is actually 3/9. What about the purple one, afternoon, 2 units, which means this is 2/9. So I write it out properly. In the afternoon, you have got 2/9 because 2 boxes. And what is left is 3 boxes, right? So 3/9. Now, how much does this 24 represent? You don't know how many units is that, but you do know that it starts off with 1 whole, minus the afternoon, minus what is left. 1 whole minus 2/9 minus 3/9 is 5/9, right? It gives you 4/9, sorry. So this 4/9 represents 24. Because this 24 in the beginning, we don't know how many units were that. So 1/9 will be 24 divided by 4, gives you 6. And if you want to find how many things in all, that means the whole entire 9/9, it will be 6 times 9, that gives you 54. So the answer, 54. Okay? Takes a little bit of time to understand, but you may want to rewind the video and relook at how this kind of question is being done. Because these are actually P5 questions that appeared in the 60 Experience workbook. Okay? So we have done booklet A. Now we need to set some kind of a goal. So as I mentioned earlier in the class, if you talk about booklet A, question 1 to question 10 are very basic questions that you will need to get all correct for. And you have to aim towards this goal. Okay? So we're going to move on to booklet B. Question 16, find the value of 20.1 minus 0.98. Now we got to align the decimal point, right? So the decimal point has to be here, 0.98. Okay, now there's a missing number here, so I'm going to place a 0 as a placeholder so that I can subtract properly. Now, a few of you in the class actually subtracted this wrongly. This cannot be the case. Subtract and you subtract them properly. These are 1 mark that are easy to earn. So over here, I regroup them. I take it over. It becomes 10 ones. 10 minus 8 is 2. And you have got 0. You cannot subtract it by 9. I will have to regroup again. And then I still need to regroup one more time, taking away the 1 ones over. 10 minus 9 is 1. Okay, decimal point. 9 minus 0 is 9. And you have your answer 19.12. Alright. Now, question number 17 looks a bit odd. They said that POQ, which is here, is the same as ROQ, which is here. Although it doesn't look like in the figure, but since the English said so, we shall think of it as it is. So this one is equal to this one. Okay, so for us to find out what is the total of this, we need to first know that angle at a point is 360. Minus away the 50, that's redundant, we don't need that 50, you get 310. But they are only interested in POQ, which is this one, just one side of it. So since you know both angles are the same and the total adds up to 310, I can simply divide it by 2. Alright, now divide it properly, because I sense that some of you who will divide it wrongly and get a wrong answer even though your steps are correct. You get 155. Question 18, find the average. First step, adding up the total. Again, shouldn't see anyone adding up wrongly. 150 divided by 3. If your answer is a whole number, nice number, usually there is no issue. Okay, now 2.5% as a decimal. So now this can be very confusing for some of you. Now how about I change it to a simple number? For example, 2%. I want 2% as a decimal. So 2% will be the same as 200. Right? And if it is 200, that means the decimal point will be 0.02. Alright, now if I add the decimal point in, instead of just 2, I have 2.5. So 2.5 just simply with a 5 behind. Alright, so it will just be 0.025. Even smaller, okay, sorry, even bigger. Bigger by just a bit. 0.025. Okay, so you see a decimal, don't be scared off by it. Just imagine it to be a nice number and see what you can do with it after that. Alright. Okay, and we have the simple addition. Seems that the common denominator is 18. So I'm going to change it to 18, which gives you 318 plus 1618 gives you 1918. It's the same as 1 whole, 118. So this is easy. Question 20. We're going to move on to question 21. Okay, now question 21, find the value of 35 over 1 divided by 57. So flipping, I know I flipped the one that is after the division sign, so it will be this. Okay, simplify it first, because 35 and 5, I believe I can make them simpler to 1, and this is 7. 7 times 7 will give me 49. 1 times 1 is just 1, so the answer 49. Okay. Now you would want symmetry to be formed, and you would like to have the least number of least number of rectangles for it to be a symmetry. So this being the line of symmetry, which is like the mirror, I will have no choice but to shade this one. Alright, because by reflection, this is 1 and this is also 1. If this is 2, this also reflects it as 2. Now if this is 3, this reflects it as 3, but it's a blank space. If this is 4, I must also reflect this as 4. Now if this is 5, also same thing, I must reflect this as 5 and it has to be shaded. Okay, now I can go on. This is 6, so 6 is also unshaded. 7, now 7 seems to be reflected as shaded, so I also need to shade that. Okay, now this one, yes, this one, yes, they are all reflected nicely already. Now what about here? If you have one shaded square here, rectangle here, you should also have one at the end of it. So this makes the entire symmetry a figure. Okay, so this has no name, but I'm just going to term it the numbering method. Okay, because you're not given a mirror in the exam, so a numbering system might be one way you can work with to see whether that part should be shaded or not, so that it's a symmetry. Okay, question 23, I will not measure over here. If you have a protractor, you will be able to do a good job if your motor skills are good. So for this question 23, I accept 112, 113, 114. The perfect one being 113. Alright. Now, in the exams, please practice common sense. If you know that y is actually bigger than a right angle, that means the answer must be a number that is bigger than 90. If you have a number that is smaller than 90, please, you know you have read the wrong scale on the protractor. Question 24, you would like to find this shaded part. Now, some of you may want to find the entire triangle. Then you take off the white shaded part. Alright, now here in this video, I'm going to tell you that is actually a shorter way. And you can actually go straight to finding the shaded triangle straight away. Let's first look at the English. WZ is equals to YZ. WZ is 5. YZ is also 5. Now, if YZ is equals to 5, that means this is equals to 4. Okay. Now, I'm going to redraw the figure out because in the computer here, I can't tilt my paper. I'm going to tilt the triangle such that the triangle shaded part is now facing this way. The base is 4, and you notice that the height must be standing at perpendicular is actually 5. With the formula, I can already do a half times base times height. This is the shortest, most efficient manner, because once you establish and you know what is the base, which is here, and you know already what is the height, you can already apply a formula without finding the white portion. Half times 4 is 2. 2 times 5 gives you a 10. So this is a short way to help you save time. Alright, but in case you're still confused, you can still find a big triangle, then minus the white triangle. That's fine as well. Okay? Okay, now question 25. A pencil. Some of you are very confused with the scale. Now, imagine the scale is a very easy number. Example, this is 2 and this is 5. What is the length of the pencil? You will take the bigger number minus the smaller number to give you the difference, which is the length of the pencil. Right? So the big number minus the small number. Now, likewise, if you talk about the pencil over here, well, let's find out the big number first. Okay? Now, it can be 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, 5.5, but it's 6 over here. So we got to guess and check another number. 5.2 then. 5.2, 5.4, 5.6, 5.8, and 6. Makes sense, right? So that means every scale, every unit is actually a 0.2. This is 1.2, sorry, and this is 1.4. What about here? 5, and then it jumps to 5.2. Now, 5.2 minus 1.4. Let's find out. 12 minus 4 is 8, and you get the answer, 3.8 cm. Okay, so that's for question 25. We're going to move on to question 26. Question 26, you have 5 books at $Y each. So if one book is Y, then 5 books will be 5 times Y. Remember, the digits go first. Alright, now you paid $50, but this $50 is not just for 5 books. It is also for 4 identical magazines. So you take the 50 and you minus away the 5Y. This gives you the cost of the 4 magazine. But they are not interested in 4 magazine. They only want 1 magazine. So with this 4 magazine, because you took the $50, you minus away the books, you get the cost of the magazine. You have to use this amount and divide it by 4 in order to get 1 book. So the entire bracket up the whole equation. 50 minus 5y is for the 4 magazine, and you divide them by 4 to find 1 magazine. That is for question 26. Okay, now question 27, you have got rectangle and the length is 4 units is to 3 units. And of course the difference is 3 cm longer. So 1 unit is actually equals to 3. And what happens is you need to find the area. Now to find the area, let's find out 4 units and 3 units first. 4 units will be 3 times 4, which is 12. And 3 units will be 3 times 3, which is 9. Area will be length times breadth, right? So you have your 12, you have your 9, and you multiply them, you will get your area of 108 as the answer. Okay, and let's go on to question 28. Alright, now this is your 8-point compass. Naughty elephant squirt water. Alright, this is how I learned it, or how I memorized it. Now, first question, Jake is standing at point X, this is point X, and you are facing the south. So you are facing south here now. You are going to turn anti-clockwise. Now anti-clockwise, how does it look like? It looks this way, against the clock. And 45 degree, what does it 45 degree actually means? It actually means that it is half a right angle, right? 45 degree is half a 90. And you are going to turn anti-clockwise to 45 degrees. Now, over here, this is a 90, but you only want a 45. So, meaning you're actually turning this way. You are going by anti-clockwise. So, you're actually trying to get to shop C. That is the meaning. Okay? So, this is for question A. Now, Mabel, for part B now, Mabel was at a shop facing the east. She turned 135. Now, let's try to find out what combination of 135 is. It is made out of 90 as well as 45. And it's going to turn clockwise, and you're ending up going to reach point X. So, what shop were you at the beginning? So, she could be at this shop, this shop, this shop, this shop, and this shop. Alright, now one easy way, or one more hardworking way, is actually to simply do by guess and check. You look at every shop and you do it. For the purpose of the saving time in this video, I'm just going to guess and check with shop A. Shop A, I'm going to assume that this person is at shop A and facing the east side. This is the east. And after turning clockwise, how is clockwise like? It works like a clock. And this person is going to face point X at the end of it. So we are just guessing with point X. Okay, so you notice what happens? Going by clockwise, this will be 90 degree and a 45, sorry. This is a 90 degree turn clockwise and a 45 degree turn clockwise, and she happens to go to point X again. So my guess is correct, point A. She was at shop A first, and she did a 90 plus a 45, which is a total of 135, and she got back to X. So the answer for this will be A. So hardworking. If you are very desperate and you really want to earn that 1 mark, okay, do it the hard way. You can do your guess and check, okay, making sure and see whether A, B, C, D, or E is the shop that she was at. Do the 135 degrees turn. Okay, so we are at question 29. Called Gina ran 4 rounds from 0710 to 0733. So, M1, right? Whatever you can solve with the sentence. Remember, each sentence is an M1 itself. I can actually see how long is the entire run. Very nice number. 10 to 30 makes 20 minutes. And from 30 to 33 makes 23 minutes. So the total duration is 23 minutes. She ran for a total of 23 minutes. Now she took the same amount of time to complete the first 2 rounds. So going by model method, the first round, she took the same time for the second round as well. For each of the remaining rounds, she took 1 minute more than the previous round. So at the third round, she's going to take the same time plus 1 minute more. Because she's taking long, she's more tired already. At the fourth round, which is the last round, she took even longer. She took the same timing as the third round, an extra 1 minute. This is the meaning of what the story is. And the total duration is 23 minutes. So if you see the model and the model is being drawn properly, you are able to take away all the extra parts that leaves you with 20. And this 20 is actually for 4 units, which gives you 5. So the first round is actually 5 minutes. Question 30. Figure below is made out of 2 squares. The area of square A is 3/4. So 3, 4 will be for B, yeah? So in ratio form, it will be something like this. Now this question is an interesting question that happens a lot of times, where you notice there's an overlap of the shaded part twice. Alright, so we also want to find out what is the shaded part. Now the ratio of the area of the shaded part, which is 1, to the area of square B is 1:6, meaning to say area of square B is 6. The shaded part is 1. Okay? Now, isn't this ratio table very familiar? Ask yourself a question. What did not change? Okay? You will find that because we are talking about the same square B, by right, square B should not change. But why are the numbers different? So we will need to expand them to the same number, isn't it? So this is actually 12. Because they are referring to the same square, shouldn't they be the same number? So if you multiply this by 2, you multiply this by 2. If you multiply this by 3 in this line, you also multiply this by 3. You get 9:12:2. So they want the fraction of the figure is shaded, meaning to say you want a fraction, how much is shaded out of the total area. Okay, now shaded we have already found out is 2 units. Now what about the total area? What about the total area? Now it would seem that the total area is actually area of A plus area of B, which is 12 plus 9, which is 21. Alright, now but you must understand that because of the overlap, this 21 has counted the shaded area in twice. Alright, area A has counted the shaded area. Area B has also counted the shaded area. Double counting. So because of that, this 21, I would like to take off one of the repeated overlap, which gives me a total unit of just 19. So the answer will be 219. Okay, so that concludes our paper 1. We will still want to focus in our SA1. Let's look at our SA1 goal. Now, in the goal that I'm going to set for you, we are still going to focus very heavily on paper 1. And in paper 2, I would like us to be able to focus on getting question 1 to question 5 all correct, because they are all easy questions, basic questions. So if we are able to expertly master paper 1 and we have scored some points in paper 2, we will be able to do well in the whole entire paper. Okay, so I'll see you back in class.